That machine sitting in your garage? It's not just an assembly of metal, plastic, and rubber. It's a confession, a rolling Rorschach test that screams your deepest desires, your biggest insecurities, and your personal definition of freedom to everyone you pass. You might tell yourself you bought it for practical reasons: the fuel economy, the insurance costs, the sensible ergonomics. But who are you kidding? You walked past a dozen other bikes and chose that specific one because it spoke to a part of you. A part that wanted to be seen as a daredevil, a connoisseur, a wanderer, or maybe just someone who refuses to grow up. To the outside world, that motorcycle is a high-speed, high-decibel psychological profile. It tells a story you might not even be telling yourself. It can say you're a seasoned veteran with nothing to prove, or a terrified beginner faking it till you make it. It can say you value art over engineering, or chaos over control. And the best part? The verdict is instant. The moment you pull up, the jury of public opinion delivers its sentence, fair or not. Before we dive into the brutal, hilarious truth of what your two-wheeled therapist is telling the world, do me a favor. If you believe motorcycling is more than just a mode of transport, if you're part of this weird and wonderful tribe, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. This channel is a community for riders who can laugh at themselves, and you're going to want to be here for what's next. Now, let's get into the judgment. First up, the Ducati Panigale V4. If you ride a Panigale, you don't just want to be fast, you want to be perfect. You view motorcycling not as a hobby, but as a discipline bordering on a religion. And this is your sacred text. You didn't buy a motorcycle. You acquired a rolling piece of performance art from Bologna. This bike says you're an obsessive, a perfectionist who believes anything worth doing is worth overdoing. Your garage is cleaner than a hospital operating room, complete with climate control and mood lighting. Your riding gear costs more than a decent used car, and it's always spotless, cataloged by season and function. You discuss lean angles and telemetry data the way a Wall Street analyst discusses quarterly earnings. You've probably watched every MotoGP race from the last decade and can explain the aerodynamic benefit of winglets to anyone who makes the mistake of asking. You tell people you bought it for the track, but the truth is, its natural habitat is the cars and coffee parking lot, where it can be properly worshipped from a safe distance. You secretly live in fear of scratching the fairings, and the thought of dropping it gives you cold sweats. Riding the Panigale isn't about fun in the traditional sense. It's about the pursuit of an unattainable ideal. It's beautiful, it's terrifying, and it's a statement that you accept nothing less than the absolute pinnacle, even if you can only use 10% of it on a good day. Next, the Harley-Davidson Street Glide. You ride a Street Glide, which means you've officially graduated to the final boss of American cruising. You've paid your dues on smaller bikes, and now you demand comfort, sound, and presence. This motorcycle is the two-wheeled equivalent of a corner office with a V-twin view. It says you've worked hard, and now you want to enjoy the rewards, loudly. Your wardrobe consists of at least a dozen different Harley-Davidson t-shirts, one from every dealership you've ever visited across 3 states. You don't just ride, you embark on runs. The destination is almost always a bar, with a good patio, or another Harley dealership to get another t-shirt. You believe that horsepower is good, but torque and decibels are better. Your idea of customization involves adding more chrome, a louder exhaust, and a sound system powerful enough to drown out your own thoughts while you blast classic rock. You wave to other Harley riders with a subtle, low 2-finger wave that says, "I see you, brother." But you might just nod at a sport bike, if you acknowledge it at all. You complain about the cost of everything, from gas to maintenance. but you wouldn't trade your rolling jukebox for anything. The Street Glide isn't about carving corners. It's about owning the entire lane. It's a declaration that you've arrived and you want everyone in a 3-county radius to know it. Let's talk about the KTM 1290 Super Duke R. They call it the Beast, and you bought it because you looked at every other naked bike and thought, too sensible. You don't just want to ride a motorcycle. You want to tame a monster, or at least hang on for dear life while it tries to throw you into low orbit. This bike says you have an impulse control problem and a deep-seated need for adrenaline. Sanity is not a priority. Your riding style can best be described as enthusiastically aggressive. Traffic laws are, to you, friendly suggestions that are easily ignored when the road opens up. You live for the explosive power of that V-twin, and you believe wheelies are a perfectly acceptable way to cross intersections, leave stoplights, and celebrate Fridays. Your gear is a mix of high-end protection and scuffed-up textiles, because you ride hard and sometimes misjudge the available traction. Your license is probably hanging on by a thread. You explain to people that it's actually quite docile in rain mode, a mode you have never ever used, and you aren't even sure where the button for it is. You didn't buy the Super Duke for its practicality or its looks. You bought it because it's the closest thing to strapping yourself to a barely controlled explosion. And for some reason, that's what you call a good time. It's not a motorcycle, it's an anger management problem with a license plate. Now, for the BMW R 1250 GS. The GS. You ride this bike because you believe every ride is an adventure, even if that adventure is just a 15-mile commute to your accounting firm. You are the master of preparation. Your bike is adorned with more aluminum panniers, crash bars, and auxiliary lights than a lunar rover. All of it sourced from the Holy Scripture known as the Touratech catalog. This bike says you're a planner, a dreamer, and probably an engineer. You love the idea of circumnavigating the globe, even if the most off-road your bike has ever seen is the gravel parking lot at the scenic overlook. You talk a lot about telelever suspension and boxer engine characteristics at parties. Your gear is immaculate, high-tech, and multi-seasonal. You probably own a heated vest, cooling vest, and a hydration pack you fill with artisanal water. You're the guy who shows up to a group ride with a tire plug kit, a comprehensive first aid kit, and enough snacks to survive a small apocalypse. You look down on other bikes as being too specialized, too frivolous. The GS, you argue, can do it all. And while you might get teased for riding a Starbucks adventurer, you know that when the world ends, you'll be the one riding comfortably into the sunset, while everyone else is stranded. You didn't buy a bike. You bought a contingency plan on 2 wheels. What about the Kawasaki Ninja 400? If this is your ride, there's a very high probability that motorcycling is a brand new and exciting world for you. This bike says you're smart, sensible, and eager to learn. You did your research. You read the reviews. You watched the videos. And you correctly concluded that starting on a 1000cc superbike is a terrible idea. You wanted the aggressive look of a sport bike without the terrifying power, crippling insurance, and painful riding position that requires a chiropractor on retainer. Your friends who don't ride think you have a crotch rocket, and you don't bother correcting them because it makes you feel cool. You're still getting the hang of things. Your shifts might be a little clunky, you're cornering a bit hesitant, but your enthusiasm is infectious. You've probably already started a list of all the mods you want to do, starting with a fender eliminator and a slip-on exhaust to make it sound less like a sewing machine. You're a sponge, absorbing every bit of information you can from forums and YouTube tutorials. The Ninja 400 isn't your forever bike. It's your first love. It's the bike that will teach you, forgive your mistakes, and build your confidence. It's a stepping stone, and you're already dreaming about what comes next. And the Triumph Bonneville T120. You ride a Bonneville because you believe motorcycles should have soul. You're a romantic. You appreciate heritage, classic lines, and the timeless appeal of British cool. This bike says you have taste, and it's probably expensive. You're not interested in being the fastest or the loudest. You're interested in style and substance. Your riding gear is less about aggressive armor and more about classic aesthetics. A well-worn leather jacket, selvage denim, and sturdy leather boots that cost a fortune, but look effortlessly casual. You probably own a collection of open-face helmets with different colored bubble shields. You enjoy a leisurely ride to a local coffee shop or a quiet back road where you can appreciate the gentle burble of the parallel twin engine. You refer to your bike not as a machine, but as a modern classic. When people ask you about it, you enjoy telling them about Triumph's history, about Steve McQueen and Marlon Brando. You're not trying to impress anyone with raw performance. You're impressing them with your understated elegance and carefully curated Instagram feed. The Bonneville isn't just a motorcycle to you, it's an accessory to a lifestyle. It's the perfect companion for someone who believes the journey, and looking damn good during it is the whole point. How about the Suzuki Hayabusa? You ride a Hayabusa. Let's just pause and acknowledge that. You looked at the entire spectrum of two-wheeled vehicles and chose the one that most resembles a ballistic missile designed by a sci-fi obsessed dolphin. This bike says you have one priority: ungodly, earth-shattering, straight-line speed. Aerodynamics aren't just a feature, they are your guiding principle. You measure performance not in lap times, but in highway pulls and quarter-mile slips. Your conversations often include phrases like stretched swing arm, nitrous shot, and Stage 3 turbo kit. You view corners as the annoying, slow things that get in the way of more acceleration. You probably think the new generation is a bit too sensible with all its electronic aids. You remember the golden era when the Busa was the undisputed king of speed, and you're here to remind everyone of that legacy, usually as a blurry shape in their rearview mirror. Your idea of a scenic route is a long, straight, empty stretch of interstate at 3 a.m. You have a deep, philosophical relationship with your rear tire, which you replace more often than most people change their oil. The Hayabusa isn't subtle. It's not elegant. It is a purpose-built weapon for demolishing physics. And you are its very willing and very fast pilot. Let's switch gears to the Royal Enfield Classic 350. You ride a Classic 350 because you've officially opted out of the motorcycle arms race. You're not interested in horsepower, technology, or speed. You're interested in the feeling, the thump, the vibe. This bike says you are a grounded, patient individual who finds joy in the simple things, like arriving at your destination eventually. You believe that riding a slow bike fast is more fun than riding a fast bike slow, and your bike forces you to live by that creed every single day. You're not in a hurry to get anywhere. The ride itself is the destination. You probably have a great story about how you fixed something on the side of the road with a basic toolkit and some creative thinking. You appreciate mechanical simplicity and a design that hasn't changed much in 70 years. You get more smiles and waves from non-riders than anyone else, as people are charmed by its nostalgic, friendly appearance. You don't care that you're getting passed by electric scooters on a slight incline. You're in your own world, enjoying the rhythm of the single-cylinder engine and the wind in your face. You didn't buy a motorcycle for performance. You bought it for mechanical therapy. It's a time machine that reminds you that the point of the journey isn't to arrive, but to ride. Now, the Honda Goldwing. You ride a Goldwing because your definition of roughing it is a hotel without complimentary continental breakfast. This isn't a motorcycle. It's a two-wheeled luxury condominium with a better sound system than your living room. It says, "Comfort is your king, and you are its loyal subject." You've reached a point in your life where back pain is a real concern, and you've decided to fight it with a heated seat, a plush backrest, and suspension that makes potholes feel like gentle suggestions. You measure rides not in miles, but in days. Your bike has more buttons, speakers, and storage compartments than a small car, and you know what every single one of them does. You and your passenger can have a crystal-clear conversation about dinner plans via the intercom system at 75 miles per hour. You probably have a GPS preloaded with the most scenic, gently curving roads in the country. You're a master of packing, able to fit a week's worth of luggage into the integrated saddlebags with room to spare for souvenirs. When you pull into a parking lot, you need the turning radius of a cruise ship and a carefully planned exit strategy that always involves a slight downhill slope. You wave at everyone because you're genuinely happy to be out there, cocooned in your mobile throne. The Goldwing is the ultimate statement that you refuse to compromise. You wanted the open-air freedom of a motorcycle, but the comfort and features of a luxury sedan, and you found the one machine on Earth that delivers both. Let's not forget the Yamaha MT-07. If you ride an MT-07, you are the undisputed champion of bang-for-your-buck hooliganism. You wanted a bike that was cheap to buy, cheap to insure, and could still lift the front wheel with a modest twist of the wrist. This bike says you're playful, a little bit mischievous, and you value raw, unadulterated fun over outright top speed. You are the scrappy younger brother to the Super Duke rider. You might not have the same brute force, but you make up for it with agility and a complete lack of mechanical sympathy. Your bike is probably covered in stickers and has an aggressively loud aftermarket exhaust that cost way too much, but was totally worth it. You treat the city like your personal playground. Stoplights are for practicing your launch. Empty parking lots are for practicing your stoppies. And traffic is just a moving obstacle course. You live for that punchy master of torque engine, and you've probably bragged about it to at least 5 people this week. The MT-07 isn't about being the fastest or the most sophisticated. It's about maximizing the fun per dollar ratio. And you, my friend, are getting a fantastic return on your investment. Finally, the Honda Grom. You ride a Grom. You are an agent of pure, unfiltered chaos and joy. This bike says you have completely abandoned any notion of taking yourself or motorcycling seriously. You understand that fun is not proportional to engine size. In fact, you believe it's an inverse relationship. Your primary motivation for riding is to make yourself and everyone who sees you smile or shake their head in confused amusement. You rarely ride alone. You travel in a pack, a swarm of giggling, buzzing Groms that descends upon a city like a friendly plague. Your idea of a long-distance tour is making it across town to a different 7-Eleven. You've probably tried to wheelie it, stoppie it, jump it, and take it somewhere. A motorcycle has no business being like up a flight of stairs. Customization isn't an option. It's a requirement. Your Grom likely has parts from 5 different catalogs and looks like it fell into a box of crayons. You get the best smiles per gallon of any vehicle on the road. You didn't buy a motorcycle. You bought a happiness machine, a circus on 2 wheels, and you are its proud ringmaster. So, there you have it. The unspoken truths, the whispered judgments, and the stereotypes that follow us down the road. Maybe we hit a little too close to home, or maybe we missed your bike entirely. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the world thinks your bike says about you. All that matters is what it says to you. That feeling you get when you twist the throttle, the community you find, the freedom it represents. That's the real story. What did I miss? What does your bike say about you? Drop it in the comments below. Let the roast begin. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more. Now get out there, ride safe, and ride with personality.